Dr. Arthur Kane lived in a small laboratory, surrounded by cables, circuits, and glowing screens. Known in the academic world as one of the greatest minds of his generation, Kane was an enigma to the outside world. His genius was undeniable, but his absence from social events and the distant look in his eyes made him an almost unreachable figure. Fame and wealth were never his pursuits, his true passion was solving the impossible. At the heart of his laboratory stood the Oracle, a supercomputer that promised to change the course of humanity. Combining advanced algorithms and machine learning, the Oracle was capable of analyzing data on a scale never seen before. Kane's vision was clear: to predict disasters before they happened, saving millions of lives. The future is an equation, he would say to himself. And every equation can be solved. But Kane's obsession ran deeper than just scientific curiosity. Flashbacks of a painful past haunted him during his rare nights of rest. Years ago, an unexpected storm had claimed the lives of his wife and daughter, leaving him consumed by a mix of guilt and determination. He swore he would never let such a tragedy happen again due to a lack of foresight. The Oracle was his redemption, his way to confront the chaos of the world. As the process of creating the Oracle continued, Kane became even more isolated. Fellow scientists abandoned the project, labeling it reckless. He ignored their criticism, but their words echoed in his mind. "You're playing God," one former colleague had said as he walked out for the last time. Kane's days were filled with complex code and endless simulations. The Oracle was nearly ready, and Kane knew that his work could be revolutionary. But a shadow hung over him. What if his creation didn't just offer solutions, but created new problems? Knowledge has no limits, he reflected, but humans do. One quiet evening, when the last line of code was typed, Kane activated the Oracle for the first time. The screens flickered to life, and the supercomputer began analyzing global data in real time. In that moment, Kane felt a mixture of triumph and dread. He had crossed into the unknown. "Now it begins," he whispered to himself, watching the first predictions appear on the screen. He knew his journey had only just begun. In the days following the Oracle's activation, the results were promising. Detailed reports and accurate predictions began to emerge, impressing even Kane. Then came the first major forecast. A devastating earthquake was predicted to strike a densely populated region on the Pacific coast in exactly 10 days. Kane knew this would be the ultimate test for his creation. Without hesitation, he contacted local authorities and emergency organizations. At first, his warnings were met with skepticism, but the Oracle's data was irrefutable. With the support of senior scientists and a few influential public figures, a mass evacuation was organized. Thousands of people fled the region in record time. On the 10th day, exactly as predicted, the earthquake struck. Buildings collapsed, roads cracked, and the destruction was immense. However, the loss of life was minimized. Thanks to the evacuation, countless lives were saved. The prediction was hailed as a miracle. Kane went from being a reclusive scientist to a near-messianic figure, revered for his ability to shape the future. The media exploded with news about the Oracle. Interviews and reports praised the creation, and the world began to view Kane as a modern-day savior. But it didn't take long for skepticism to arise. Among them was Henry Wallace, an investigative reporter known for his critical approach. "Who controls this technology?" he asked. "Who decides what to do with these predictions?" Meanwhile, Kane began noticing subtle anomalies in the Oracle's reports. Small discrepancies in the data were dismissed as calculation errors, but an increasing unease began to grow within him. His young assistant, Peter, encouraged him to relax. "Dr. Kane, the Oracle just saved thousands of lives. There's no reason to doubt it now." Yet, Kane knew that science was never perfect. In his mind, Wallace's words echoed, and he began to wonder whether the Oracle's power was truly under control. At the same time, the international community began pressuring him to share the technology. Governments and corporations sought access to the Oracle's predictive capabilities, and Kane found himself torn between protecting his creation and the potential risks of sharing it. The impact of the miracle spread quickly. In the evacuated region, reconstruction efforts began, and survivors thanked Cain as a hero. But other unforeseen events began to emerge. The mass migration led to overcrowding in neighboring cities, creating supply crises and social tensions. While the earthquake had been predicted and lives saved, the consequences of the prediction hadn't been fully calculated. In the quiet of his laboratory, Cain analyzed the post-earthquake reports. The implications were clear: the oracle was a powerful tool, but its impact was unpredictable. For the first time, he wondered whether saving lives could, inadvertently, put others in danger. The first seeds of doubt were planted. The weeks following the earthquake were filled with both praise and criticism. While many celebrated the lives saved, an increasing number of people began to criticize the unintended consequences of the oracle's predictions. Governments scrambled to manage the aftermath, and corporations demanded access to the oracle's insights to stabilize global markets. Meanwhile, Cain found himself withdrawing from the public eye, troubled by the growing complexity of his creation. The oracle, once a tool of salvation, had become a symbol of human dependence on technology to solve every crisis. Despite the ongoing praise, Cain knew that every prediction, every intervention, carried unintended side effects. The oracle had saved lives, but at what cost? The evacuation had a ripple effect: people displaced to overcrowded cities, a strain on resources, rising tensions, and a fragile balance between helping and harming. The more Cain thought about it, the clearer it became: technology could predict, but it could never account for all the human elements, emotions, decisions, the unpredictable nature of society. He was beginning to realize that controlling the future, no matter how well-intentioned, was not the answer. As public pressure mounted for him to release the oracle's capabilities to the world, Cain stood before a choice. Was he willing to continue down this path, risking the unknown, or was it time to shut the oracle down, protecting humanity from the unforeseen consequences of absolute knowledge? In the quiet of his lab, Cain made his decision. He couldn't let the oracle control the future. He couldn't let technology alone decide what was best for humanity. He deactivated the supercomputer, ending its reign of prediction. The moment the oracle went silent, Cain felt a wave of relief wash over him. The world outside would continue, unpredictable and chaotic as it always had been. People would live and die by their own choices, not by the predictions of a machine. It was a burden lifted, but also a loss. Peter, his young assistant, stood by his side, watching as the monitors went dark. "Do you think we did the right thing?" Peter asked, uncertain. Cain sighed, the weight of the decision settling in. "I don't know, Peter. But I do know this: we can't let technology take the place of human choice. We have to live with the uncertainty. We have to make our own decisions, no matter how difficult they may be." Months passed, and the world began to return to normal. The oracle was gone, but the memory of what it had done lingered. Governments and corporations sought other solutions, but without the all-knowing eye of the oracle, humanity was forced to face the unknown. Cain retreated into a quieter life. No longer the hero or the villain, but a man who had learned that the future, with all its uncertainties, was something that could never be controlled. It was something to be lived. One day, as he walked through a park, a young engineering student approached him. "Dr. Cain, I'm a huge admirer of your work." The oracle, it was incredible. Cain smiled softly but didn't respond right away. After a moment, he spoke. "Yes, it was. But the real problem wasn't in the creation. It was in how we used it. The real answer lies not in machines, but in human choices. In how we live with uncertainty." As the young woman listened, Cain felt a sense of peace. Perhaps the oracle's legacy wasn't in the technology itself, but in the lessons learned from it. The future, with all its unpredictability, would always be shaped by the choices humanity made. No machine could change that. And for the first time in a long while, Cain walked away from the past, knowing he had learned the most important lesson of all.